New allegations claim Iran secretly reinforced one of its most powerful proxy groups with senior IRGC personnel and advanced weapons. Did Mojtaba Khamenei quietly dispatch IRGC commanders to Yemen as the region edged toward a wider war? Fresh claims suggest Iran supplied the Houthis with missiles, drones, and even gold to strengthen their military campaign. The reported operation has raised new questions over whether Tehran prepared the Houthis for a much broader regional conflict. Donald Trump has warned Iran will face the consequences if Houthi attacks continue to threaten global shipping. New reports claim Iran secretly dispatched IRGC commanders, military advisors, and advanced weapons to Yemen. According to Reuters, 4 separate sources said the transfer took place on July 13. The aircraft reportedly departed Tehran for Sana'a before diverting to Hodeidah. Sources claim between 10 and 21 IRGC personnel, including senior commanders, were aboard. The reported mission was allegedly intended to train Houthi fighters on new missile systems. Analysts say the cargo also included components for short and medium-range missiles and drones. Another verified source claims the aircraft also carried gold to finance Houthi military operations. Iran has not publicly addressed or verified the reported deployment. However, Tehran has repeatedly denied supplying the Houthis with advanced missile capabilities. Meanwhile, senior Houthi official Abdel Rahman al-Anomi dismissed the reports as lies and fabrications. Only days after the reported deployment, the Houthis announced a naval blockade targeting Saudi-linked shipping. The group later claimed responsibility for attacks on 2 Saudi oil tankers in the Red Sea on July 23. The Houthis insisted those vessels had violated what they described as a naval blockade imposed by their movement.
The Yemeni armed forces carried out a qualitative military operation targeting 2 Saudi oil tankers that violated the blockade imposed by the armed forces in the Red Sea. One tanker was named in Celia and the other is Layla, and the operation was carried out by a number of ballistic and cruise missiles, as well as drones. The strikes were precise thanks to Allah's grace and assistance, and resulted in a large fire broke out on both vessels. In the same context, the Yemeni armed forces forced approximately 10 ships to retreat and return. The armed forces will continue their naval operations against the Saudi enemy and will persist in enforcing the siege for a siege equation. We affirm to the Saudi enemy that any follow aggression targeting our country will be met with large-scale operations deep within its territory, and the consequences will be dire for it by Allah's will and power.
The latest actions mark a sharp escalation after years of relative calm between Saudi Arabia and the Houthis. The blockade has renewed fears over global energy supplies and maritime security across the Red Sea. On July 23, Donald Trump warned that Iran would be held directly responsible for any future Houthi attacks. Donald Trump issued a direct warning to Iran as fresh Houthi strikes threatened to open an entirely new front in an already sprawling Middle East conflict. On July 23, Trump stated clearly that the United States will hold Iran directly responsible for any future attacks carried out by Houthi forces going forward. Describing the Houthis explicitly as an Iranian proxy force, the president promised that any further attacks would trigger major and severe military punishment. Trump said, and I quote, "A year ago the United States of America attacked, very powerfully, the Houthis, for their interference with commerce and trade, by shooting at ships. Since that time, and during our conflict with Iran, they have acted very responsibly. Unfortunately, now they are starting up again, shooting at 2 Saudi Arabian ships last night. Please let this truth serve to represent that if they do this again, the US will hold Iran responsible, in that the Houthis are a surrogate and or proxy of Iran. And major military punishment will be inflicted upon Iran, and of course the Houthis themselves, who I am very disappointed with in that they have, until now, acted very professionally and smart." Unquote. This stark warning followed direct Houthi claims of carrying out strikes on 2 separate Saudi oil tankers navigating through the Red Sea. On July 22, the Houthis stated that the tankers in Celia and Layla were specifically targeted for breaking their self-declared naval blockade in the region. According to multiple reports, this attack would mark the very first strike since the Houthis originally announced their naval blockade against Saudi Arabia. Saudi state media outlet SBA reported that a fire broke out aboard the tanker in Celia, immediately following the reported attack in the Red Sea. Saudi authorities confirmed that all crew members aboard the vessel remained safe, even though the ship itself sustained notable damage in the attack. Trump's latest warning arrives at a moment when the United States and Riyadh are actively strengthening their broader relationship through a new nuclear cooperation agreement. The United States and Saudi Arabia announced a historic civilian nuclear cooperation agreement on July 22. The Trump administration says the deal marks a major step towards strengthening long-term strategic ties with Riyadh, according to Al Jazeera. Washington describes the agreement as a strategic partnership focused on energy security and regional cooperation. U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright said, and I quote, "These agreements reflect our two nations' shared commitment to strengthening U.S.-Saudi commercial relations, delivering prosperity at home and security to our allies abroad. Rest assured, these agreements uphold the highest standards of nuclear safety and non-proliferation while relying on the world's best nuclear technology and scientists, designed right here in the United States." Unquote. The multi-billion-dollar agreement will now be submitted to the U.S. Congress for review, according to Al Jazeera. American companies are expected to provide Saudi Arabia with advanced civilian nuclear technology under the agreement. The partnership is structured under Section 123 agreement of the U.S. Atomic Energy Act. Officials say the pact also includes safeguards designed to ensure peaceful civilian nuclear cooperation. Washington maintains that the agreement fully complies with strict nuclear safety and non-proliferation standards.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Have you ever wondered what happens when a banking dynasty meets tides of world history, intrigue, and a dash of myth?
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.